Hey everyone, Gabriel here, and in this video I'm going to be doing a case study on one of my stores that's currently doing over $15,000 a day in sales, and I'm basically going to be giving you an overview of everything. So I'm going to be talking about the product, the store, the ads, really everything that you need to know. Now, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be revealing the store or the product, but I will be trying to make this video as detailed as possible so that you guys really understand what's going on and what I'm talking about. So first off, I want to give you a little bit of background on this store. So this is it right here, and as you can see so far today, it's at about 7.7K in sales, 53 visitors live, and if I go to yesterday's stats, you'll see that it did 16.4K yesterday, and if I go to the day before, 16K. And now a lot of people always ask me to refresh, so I'm just going to refresh this just to prove that it's real. There we go. And another thing that I want to show you about this store is that this store, I didn't just start it recently. This is a store that I started in November 2018, at the end of November 2018. I've already made a few videos about this store, but what happened with this store is that it really, it had a big downturn, and it had a period where it wasn't doing good at all, and it kind of felt like this store was dead, but I knew it still had potential, and I really wanted to bring it back, and so I decided to work on it for a week or two to really try to get it back, and I was able to push it back up all the way to 15K a day with higher profitability than before. So really, it reached a new all-time high, and it's more profitable than ever. And so that's what this case study is going to be about. I'm going to be talking about my whole process, how I did this, and hopefully you're going to get a lot of value out of it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so first off, I want to talk a little bit about the product and give you a better idea of what I'm selling. So this is a one product store selling a low ticket product. So the product is selling for under $15 on my store, and the product itself costs me just under $1 without shipping. Now, the product solves a problem, and if you follow me, you know that this is one of my main criteria for picking products, right? If you pick a product that solves a problem, it's much easier to advertise it to cold traffic because all you need to do is target the people who have that problem and then tell them you have a solution. And so problem-solving products are definitely my favorite to work with. Now, another thing about this product is that it's a consumable. And so since it's a consumable, this meant two things to me. Number one is that there's potential return customers, right? If someone buys my product, it solves the problem and they like it, they're going to want to buy more. And so that's going to increase my lifetime value, which means that I can afford to pay more per customer upfront on Facebook ads. Now, the other thing that this told me is that since it's a consumable, people are likely to buy more than just one, right? If they know that they're going to run out of the product, it's easy to convince them to buy more than just one if you offer them a discount or something. And so that's another way that I can increase the average order value. And so since it was a consumable, that made me feel better about the fact that it was a low ticket product. Now, another thing about this product is that it's not available in stores yet. It's relatively new, and so you can't find this in stores, and people really haven't heard or seen this product before, and that's what I put here. It's a new product, and it has wow factor, right? Since people haven't seen it before, when they see my ads, they're like, what is this? That's pretty cool. And it gets, it really grabs their attention. And so that's the product that I'm working with. I hope that gives you a good idea. And now I'm going to talk about the store. So like I said, this is a one product store, and I'm only selling that one product that I just described and nothing else. There's nothing else for cross sells. My only upsell is just offering more of the same product. And the design of the store is extremely, extremely simple. So I'm using Debut theme, which is what I always recommend because it's very optimized, it's fast, it looks good if you customize it well. And so I'm using Debut theme, I'm using no urgency whatsoever, so no countdown timers, no checkout timers, nothing like that. No trust badges, so I'm literally doing the opposite of what you see most dropshipping stores still doing, right? I'm doing no urgency, no trust badges, very simple theme, one color for the whole site, and this is another thing that I recommend a lot in my videos. Keep your color scheme consistent. So I'm doing one main color for the whole site. And, it's a very, very simple looking store. I have lifestyle photos in the product description. That definitely helps increase my conversion rate. This is something that I got made once I started scaling the product a little bit, and then I got some lifestyle photos made, and that really helped increase my conversion rate. And this is why I always say reinvest in content, right? So lifestyle photos in the product description, that helps my store look a lot more branded and clean. I have a discounted cart upsell to increase my average order value. So this is where I offer them more of the same product. So when they add the product to cart, there's going to be an upsell in the cart that offers them more of the same product at a discount. And this is how I've been increasing my average order value up until now. And so I hope that gives you that's pretty much what it is, the store. It's very simple. There's not that much to say about it. So I hope that gives you a better understanding. If you're in my paid course, I reveal one of my stores in that course, and the store that I reveal has the exact same design as this store. So if you're in my paid course, the store design that I show in that course is the exact same as the one in this store, and it works really, really well. And one of my best suggestions for those of you who are struggling with designing your store and making it look clean is improvement by elimination. Essentially, what you need to do is you need to take out everything that's not necessary, that doesn't actually add value to your store, and that'll really simplify things and make everything look clean and simple, and it won't confuse your customers. And so that's what I did. At first I had a long product description. I had all these countdown timers and stuff. I just started taking out everything that I didn't need one by one to make it look more clean and more branded. And eventually I got to the point where my conversion rate was a lot better than at the start. So I'm going to show you my stats of that store right now. All right, so here are the stats for that store. And as you can see, these are the last 7 days. In the last 7 days, $76,000 in sales. And the conversion rate is 5.75%, which is really good. But as you can see, it's down 30%. And the reason why it's down so much is that as I started scaling very, very aggressively, I got a lot more traffic and my conversion rate started going down. But, it's still a very, very good conversion rate, 5.75. And before that, I was doing about 8 to 10% with this store layout that I just told you about, right? Very simple layout, debut theme, take out everything that you don't need and the lifestyle photos, things like that. And so that's how I'm achieving this conversion rate. Very, very simple theme. My average order value is still very low. It's only 16.41. But this is still pretty good considering the selling price of my product. My product is very, very cheap. And so having this order value is pretty good, but that's one of the main things I'm trying to work on. And I'm also trying to work on increasing the lifetime value, like I mentioned. And, this is a good sign here. The return customer rate is actually starting to go up a little bit. So I'm starting to get some return customers. And this is another thing that I can definitely work on. So these are the two things that I really need to work on, the average order value and my return customer rate. But the online store conversion rate is really, really good. And like I said, this was all just with a very simple debut theme. All right, so now that I've gone over the product and the store, we can get to the interesting part, which is the advertising. Now, if you're looking for a video where I show you how I launched this store from scratch, this isn't the right video, but I have another video on my channel called How to Launch a Dropshipping Product. And I show you exactly how I launched this exact product, this exact store, back in November 2018. So if that's what you're looking for, go check out that video first and then come back. Because in this video, I'm going to be talking more about how I went from being at the lowest point of the store, where it was doing about 1 to 2K a day at the start of March, to now where I'm doing above 15K a day consistently with this store with better profit margins than before. And by the way, the profit margins for this store are about 30%. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video. So the first thing is that I had previous data for lookalike audiences, but my ads just weren't performing well. But I knew that those lookalike audiences had performed very well in the past because I had used them in the past, and it was just my ads started to decline in performance. Now, I also knew that I had a great conversion rate on my store. I was converting about 8 to 10% back when I wasn't scaled yet. And so I knew that the conversion rate wasn't a problem either, right? And so the only problem could have been the ads, right? Because the product also was proven since I had sold a bunch of that product, and I knew that people wanted to buy, were interested in that product. And so I identified the problem as being my ads, and I looked more into that, and I saw that my click-through rate had actually declined very significantly for my top ads. And so my ads just weren't as effective anymore. They were exhausted with my audience. They weren't getting a high enough click-through rate. And what happens with a low click-through rate is that you don't win enough auctions, right? The click-through rate is one of the components of the Facebook ads auction. And if your click-through rate is too low, you're not going to win campaigns, you're not going to win auctions consistently, and your campaigns will die out. And so once I identified that problem, that my ads just weren't performing well anymore and they had a low click-through rate, I knew that all I need to do was test new ads, test new variations, and make small tweaks until I can get that click-through rate up and find something that works and that's going to help me win auctions and scale profitably. And so that's what I did. I just started testing a ton of different changes in a PPE campaign. And so I tested a ton of different ads, ton of different little tweaks, and here are the changes that made the most significant impact for me. So the first thing I did was I tested a short video versus a long video. So all my ads up until that point were longer videos, and by long I mean about 45 seconds. And that was the only type of video that I had tested. And so I decided to test a shorter video, kind of a 15-second video that's a little bit more snappy, a little bit more fast-paced, and really just gets to the point faster. And so that's what I did, and that video actually worked out a lot better than the long video. And so that was already a great find. Just with that ad, I could have probably started scaling even more, but I didn't stop there. I really wanted to maximize my click-through rate and get the best chance of having a campaign that will scale profitably. And so after testing that short video, what I did is I started testing different scroll stoppers. And by scroll stoppers, I mean 3 to 4 second clips at the start of your video. And the reason why I recommend testing scroll stoppers is that no matter how good your ad is, no matter how much it convinces people to buy your product or makes them want to buy it, if you don't get their attention in the first 3-4 seconds, they're not going to see the rest of your video and they're not going to be interested in your product. So you really need to have a clip at the start of your video or something that really grabs their attention and pulls them in to watch the rest of your ad. Otherwise, you have absolutely no chance of running a profitable campaign. Now, the last change that had a really significant impact was testing different headlines. So I just tested 3 different headlines and newsfeed link descriptions, and I found one that performed significantly better, and so I ran with that. And so those are the 3 changes that I made that made the most significant impact. Now, there's so many other things that I could have tested. You can really keep on testing forever, but those are the ones that made the most impact. And once I did those, I had a creative that I was confident and that I knew that I could scale profitably. All right, so just a few more tips on how to test all these variations. So you want to test these ad variations in PPE. And the reason being is that, number one, you'll get social proof easier. So you'll get more social proof while you're testing those ads. And the second reason is that it's also cheaper to get data in PPE. So you might not get sales from PPE, but you'll get more data on your click-through rate, on how much people are engaging with your ad versus running a purchase campaign. So testing with PPE is a way to save on money and to test a lot without having to spend a lot of budget. And so you want to test new ads in a PPE campaign. As for your targeting, the targeting, when you're launching a new store, I recommend doing a really broad targeting, all e-packet countries for your initial PPE campaign. But when you already have a lot of data, what you want to do is you want to use your best 1% lookalike audiences stacked in one ad set. And the reason why you want to do this instead of targeting a really broad general audience is that the 1% lookalike audiences are going to be more representative of your audience. And so it's a better test for your ads, essentially, right? Some ads that don't perform well with the general broad audience could perform really well with your target audience. And so when you already have a lot of data, just stack your best 1% lookalike audiences into one ad set and use that as your targeting for testing new ads in PPE. And usually I'd recommend making those 1% lookalike audiences for all e-packet countries just to get as much data as possible for those ads. Now, once I found a winning ad, so by that I mean once I found an ad that I was confident in, that I thought I could scale, and I explained that in the slide before. I showed you the 3 things that I did, and then after doing those 3 things, I had an ad that I was confident in. Once I found that ad, I duplicated it into all of my CBO campaigns, and I use CBO campaigns to scale. And so I just duplicated that ad into all the ad sets into my CBO campaigns that I was currently scaling with. And so that's how I always talk about cycling new creatives in for CBO campaigns. That's what I mean by cycling new creatives in, is you always want to be testing creatives in a separate PPE campaign. And when you find something that works, you graduate it, right? That's one way to put it. You duplicate it into those CBO campaigns and start running them seriously with the goal of getting purchases, not just engagement. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure to check out my video from last week. It's called New Facebook Ads CBO Strategy, and it's on the same store. It's about the same store, and I actually take you inside my ads manager and I show you exactly how I structure my scaling CBO campaigns. And those are the campaigns that I'm referring to here when I duplicate into my CBO campaigns. I duplicate into those campaigns that I showed in that video. And I didn't change anything about the structure of those campaigns since then. All I did was, duplicate the new ads into them, and I scaled the budget. And so if you haven't watched that video yet, I'd highly recommend you do so because it'll give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about here. All right, so I thought this would be a good little add-on to this video. I wanted to share the formula for the winning ad that I found after all my testing. And by that I mean, what's the structure of the ad that I found that worked best and that is currently helping me scale past 15K a day with this store. So here's the formula for that ad. Basically, it's a product demo by an Instagram influencer. So very simple product demo. We found an influencer that's a part of our target market. We sent her the product. We got her to record a short demo showing how the product works. Then I sped that video up because it was a little too slow, and Facebook ads, it needs to be fast paced. You're competing for attention. So I sped up that video to the point where it was about a 15-second product demo. And then that alone was a good video, right? But I wanted to make it better. So what I did is I added some captions, so some fast-paced captions, right? Since the video is only about 15 seconds long, you don't have that much time. So some fast-paced captions, very simple, not too much text. And I tried to tell a very, a story about the product in a way, make it kind of a storytelling ad. Rather than just, this new product is on sale, it works great. I tried to kind of tell a story about what the product does, what problem it solves. And like I said, it's very fast paced because the video was only 15 seconds long. And so that ad alone, that's the first ad that I tested when I said that I tested a shorter versus a longer ad. That's the first ad that I tested. And it worked really well, but I wanted to make it better. And so what I did is I started testing scroll stoppers, and I just added on a little clip at the start of that ad that was already doing really well. And so what I did is I found a 3 to 4 second clip that really shows the climax of the product, really shows the part that has in my opinion, that really stops the scroll, right? That's what a scroll stopper is. So it shows the climax of the product in action, and it's interesting to watch. People want to keep watching. And then after those 3-4 second videos, it's just the product demo by the influencer. And so, the product demo really helps convert the sale, and then the scroll stopper is what gets the attention and actually gives me a chance to convert that sale. Otherwise, they're just going to keep scrolling past. And so scroll stopper, really important. And for me, what worked best was showing the climax of the product in action. Now, last thing to note is that with my lookalike audiences, this ad got a 10 relevance score across the board. It was never under 10. And so, relevance score doesn't necessarily, it's not the best metric to go off of in terms of judging the success of an ad, but it is a reflection of how well it's doing. And if you want a campaign that is really, really scalable, usually you'll have 10 relevance scores across the board for your ads. All right, so let's talk about how I scaled. So after finding that new ad and duplicating it into my CBO campaigns, I instantly saw my return on ad spend dramatically increase. So, my profit margins went from like 20% to 40%, and I knew that I had something that I could scale. And so what I started doing is that every night, right at the midnight time, I would scale by increasing the budget 50% on my profitable campaigns. And I actually just want to hop into my ads manager to show you what that looked like. All right, so we're inside of the ads manager for that store, and right now I've got it set to March 28th, which is the day that I found that new winning ad. And so as you can see, the campaigns were, I think this one was set at probably $900 a day based on the amount spent, or $1,000 a day, $900 a day. So I had these campaigns running. They were doing decent, right? My break-even return on ad spend for this product is right around 1.4, 1.45. So they were profitable, but nothing crazy, not a good enough ROAS that I could really scale very, very aggressively. And so I duplicated that new ad into all of my CBO campaigns for scaling. So this one, all of my CBO campaigns for scaling. And if we go to the next day, you'll see that the ROAS goes from 1.76 to 2.54, right? So a very, very sudden jump in ROAS. And this is just from duplicating that new creative I found into my CBO campaigns. So you can see that, this one, I scaled that one to 1350. All I was doing is I was increasing the budget 50% every day. So, 2.54. Then if I go to the 30th, even better, right? 2.65, and my amount spent went way up, right? And this is also why I say that CBOs perform better at higher budgets, because that is the experience that I've had. You can see that I was spending more, I was scaling them, I was increasing the budget 50% every day, literally increasing the budget 50% every day, no duplication, nothing, just increasing the budget, and my return on ad spend was going up. And so, scaling CBO is very, very easy. It's not hard at all. It's really just a matter of increasing the campaign budget. And so the real difficult part is testing a lot until you find something that works, that you can scale. As you can see, as soon as I found something that could scale and I duplicated into my campaigns, everything was just uphill after that. So if I go to the 31st, that's when it started to decline a bit. And then I'll show you today's stats. Today's stats has declined a bit, 2.07. So, I need to keep testing new creatives, keep testing new things, but it's still very profitable. So after I saw how quickly I was scaling, the first thing I did is I hired an extra VA, so a virtual assistant, to help me reply to comments on my Facebook posts. And the reason I wanted to do this is that you can lower your CPMs by responding to comments on your ads, and it's just more engagement, and Facebook likes that. And so you definitely want to be doing this. And I want to quickly show you a little tip on how you can really drive the engagement to the max by doing this. So what I wanted to show you is how you can use a sense of humor and just be funny with your customers to really drive up engagement. So this is a great example here. This is Power. It's a dropshipping store. I think they have branded products now, but they're absolutely crushing it. As you can see, they're absolutely killing this engagement game with their ads, right? Like, look at how many likes each one of their comments has. They're getting thousands of likes on every one of their replies because people genuinely like this brand because they're funny. They're making jokes. Full disclosure, I'm not even in the market for one of these, although it seems cool. But the comments from the page admin alone has me wanting to buy. And he says, full disclosure, I'm not even a human. He's just making jokes. And I'm getting, I've done this with my own page. I respond to GIFs with a little bit of jokes, and I'm starting to get these comments all the time. I want to buy one just because of the quality of the GIFs or something like that. People really like a brand that actually engages with their customers in, a personable way. And another good example of this is Hi Smile. So look at the way they engage in their comments. First of all, they post results in their comments, which is very smart, because before and after results won't get approved, but by posting them in the comments, people will see them that way, and it'll help convert the sale. And they're also replying with GIFs, right? And they even have their custom GIFs, which is pretty crazy. That's a little overboard, but they have their own GIFs with like their staff members wearing the clothing and stuff, and that really helps branding, and it helps customer loyalty and all that. So don't underestimate the power of doing things like that, because it can really drive up your sales and it'll lower your CPM, and it all compounds and works out. All right, so just a few more notes about scaling. So I showed you inside of my ads manager how I was increasing the budget for profitable campaigns by 50% every day. Well, while I was doing that, I quickly hit the 5K a day account spend limit for Facebook ads. So if you don't know about this, by default, Facebook ads accounts have a 5K a day spending limit. And so you can't spend more than $5,000 per day on an ad account by default. And I hit that limit while it was the weekend. And so I couldn't contact Facebook support. And so my only option was to scale to a second ad account. And scaling to a second ad account can work well, but for me it was a problem because it caused a lot of audience overlap, and it was just much easier for me to scale the same CBO campaigns that were already profitable, right? All I needed to do was keep increasing by 50%, but since I hit that barrier, I couldn't do it. And so what I would recommend is that if you're getting close to hitting that 5K a day account limit, make sure to get on a chat with Facebook support as soon as possible and just ask them to double it. And that's what I did just the other day, and now they doubled it to 10K a day, and now I'm going to be able to scale a little bit more on that ad account without having to create all new CBO campaigns. And the last thing I put here is that scaling is easy and testing until you find something that works is the difficult part. I think I already said that, but I'm going to say it again because it's very true. Keep testing until you find something that works, and then scaling is easy. And I showed you inside of my ads manager. I just duplicated into the campaigns, and instantly my ROAS just really went up, and all I had to do was increase the budget, right? Scaling was the easiest part out of all this process. Testing was the difficult part. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about consistency once you start scaling, because once you start scaling, ads and audiences get exhausted really quick. And so you need to keep testing things even when you're profitable and even when you're scaling, because if you don't, your ads and your audiences will get exhausted and you won't have anything else to lean on. And so definitely keep testing so that as soon as your performance starts declining, you can just cycle something in that, cycle a new creative in, or change something that actually will bring your results back up, like I showed you in that example in my ads manager. Now, another thing that I said is reinvest into content. Otherwise, you won't have anything to work with when you're testing new creatives. And this is a big mistake that I see a lot of people making. They don't reinvest in content. As soon as you start scaling, as soon as you're making profit with a product, first thing you should invest in really is getting videos made for that product, or getting, lifestyle photos made for that product. And if you do that, you'll be able to test a lot more. You'll be able to make new creatives, new variations, new scroll stoppers that other people don't even have yet, right? And this, you can invest $200 into a video and make, $50,000 with that video. That influencer video that I used for that new ad that's doing extremely well, I paid, I think, $50 for that. And with that $50 video, and then the rest, I just edited it myself. And with that $50 video, I was able to generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And so, keep reinvesting into content. Otherwise, you just won't have anything to work with and you won't be able to scale consistently. Now, the last thing is when your ROAS starts to significantly drop after you're scaling, you want to gradually scale down your CBO. So the same way that you scale up a CBO, increase 50% budget every day, when you see the performance declining, just scale it back down, right? Because you don't want to keep spending $4,000 a day or whatever you scale to as the ROAS is going down, right? And you don't necessarily need to just turn off the campaign either. So what I do is I'll gradually scale it down and I'll cycle in new creatives until I see the ROAS going back up, and then I'll raise the CBO budget. And that's essentially the workflow for scaling with these CBO campaigns. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of questions on, how I'm managing the operations, how I'm managing fulfillment, how I'm managing customer service at this scale. And that's a great question, but I've already made a whole video about that for the exact same store. And so if you're curious about that, check out my video, Automating Your Store. It's, it's from a few months back, but it's on the same store when I was just starting it out. And the operations haven't changed much. I'm still fulfilling the same way, and I'm still handling customer the same way. And so I really think that video will answer your questions. Everyone, so that is it for this case study. I hope you enjoyed it and got a lot of value out of it. And if you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And also leave a comment below telling me what you want to see next. It really helps me come up with new ideas. Last thing, if you haven't joined the Ecom Mastermind group on Facebook yet, make sure to do that now. The link is going to be in the description, and it's super active. It's a free group, over 25,000 members now, so make sure to join that. And on that note, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.